Hello, this is Psalm number 80, and I'm working with a crippled phone. But at any rate, that's fine. It's a psalm praying to the Lord for help. They're asking that He would come and save them. Not unusual for a psalm, is it? Psalm 80, it's the director of music to the tune of the Lilies of the Covenant, and according to the NIV, Psalm of Asaph. He addresses the Lord as the shepherd of Israel. Lord, you are our shepherd. Hear us, O shepherd of Israel. You lead Joseph like a flock, who sit enthroned between cherubim. Shine forth, he says, shine forth. And he uses this idea a couple times in this particular Psalm 80. Again, make your face to shine upon us that we might be saved. Kind of reminds maybe you of Numbers chapter 6, the last couple verses. There's a benediction that the priests used that talked about the face of God shining upon them and bringing them peace. And in this case, the psalmist is asking that God bring them salvation. He says, we have been feeding on the bread of tears, the source of contention. We are a source of contention toward our enemies. They mock us. They're just not happy with what's going on. And Lord, you need to save us. We are the vine that you brought up out of Egypt. I don't know of any other place that Jesus uses it. He is the vine, we are the branches. But I don't know if there's any other place really that we talks again. I start thinking about it. Ezekiel, the vine that was asked to lead Israel, one of the branches. Vine is used kind of a mocking term in a sense of it's weak, doesn't have real strong branches, there's no sturdy trunk in a vine. It spreads, it produces fruit, and they're called, Israel is, the vine of Egypt. They spread, in fact, he says this in verse 8, from the mountains, from the rivers to the sea. But now the wall is broken down. They're referring to the destruction of Israel and Jerusalem. The boars ravaged the land. And they're asking God, if you would, just return. The root has been up. The root that you planted, the vine, that you raised for yourself. Would you come and help? Your vine has been cut down. It's been burned. I don't know if that reminds you of what Jesus talks about. He is the vine, we are the branches, and any unproductive branch will be burned. But again, they're recognizing that Israel is the vine of God that He brought out of Egypt. And in verse 16, it's only 19 verses, but in verse 16, he says, your son that you raised for yourself kind of perished. Would you have him? Restore him. Let your hand rest on the man at your right hand. I like this. Verse 17, the Son of Man that you have raised for yourself. Now they would say that this is Israel. God raised Israel for Himself and brought him out of Egypt and is punishing him because He loves him, punishing him because he's broken covenant with God, punishing him because he's not righteous. And God wants to cleanse them once again and bring them back with His redeeming hand. It says, revive us, and then we will all call upon your name. But is this Son of Man, could this be kind of a foreshadowing of Jesus? The Son of Man who God rests His hand on, that's at His right side, even now? So revive us, though, they are asking. And it ends with this benediction. Restore us, O Lord. Make your face shine upon us. Again, They are asking the Lord just to restore them. They're having a hard time. In these book 3, we're in the third book of Psalms, in the sense of the way it's divided by books. I think Psalm 72 or 73, and following several more Psalms on is book 3, and it's just, Lord, help us. We've sinned, we've been broken down, our walls are scattered. People have burned to ashes your holy place, and they're crying out for help. And I think it's important for us. I'm going to hold this now, and you may feel like, there's some real normalcy in this video. God, He wants to help. He definitely wants us to cry out. We may not get answered, and we've got to learn to live with that and be okay with that. Cry out to God and ask God to turn His face upon you, that might be blessed, that He might bring peace, that He might bring salvation to the souls of your friends, your families, to all of us. But most of all, that we might live in peace with God through His Son, Jesus, whether this psalm talks about it or not. God bless. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time on Psalms 81.